Auto Guy. In this installation of my journey into custom PC building, I will discuss the memory architecture of a computer system. Even though I'm not a doctor yet, trust me, I know how important memory is, because Grandma has been talking about memories over and over again. One moment she seems to recall things vividly from decades ago. The next instant, she forgets the words she just said. I'm pretty sure early computer pioneers must have structured computer memories after their grandmas. Because, broadly speaking, modern computer memories can be categorized into two types. A short-term bumpy memory for things currently running, and a long-term memory for things you want to savor days, months, or even years later. The short-term bumpy memory has two parts. Internal to the CPU are registers and cache memories. External to the CPU is known as Dynamic Random Access Memory, DRAM, or simply RAM. The reliable long-term memory is predominantly the solid-state drive, or SSD nowadays. Memory architecture refers to the mixture of different types of memories, visually known as the memory pyramid. Towards the top of the pyramid is the fastest cache memory integrated within the CPU, running at a speed similar to that of the cores. But it is often small in size. The base of the pyramid is large capacity external memories. However, they are much slower in access speed compared to the cache memory. For example, in terms of capacity, the Intel 13700K Level 1 cache memory is less than 100 kilobytes. Each byte is 8 bits of binary data. Level 2 cache is 10 times bigger at 2 to 4 megabytes. And Level 3 cache is another 10 times bigger at 30 megabytes. On the other hand, external RAM is counted in tens of gigabytes, a whopping 1,000 times larger in capacity. The SSD can easily reach over a terabyte, or 100 times bigger than the RAM. Further out is cloud storage. Well, up there, the sky is truly the limit. The cache memories are non-upgradable and are sized proportionally with your CPU. The higher end you go, the bigger the cache size, and it requires a correspondingly bigger wallet of yours. External memories are more flexible in both capacity and access speed. The consensus is that you need at least 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of SSD to run Windows 11 smoothly, 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of SSD to be productive, and 32 gigs of RAM and a terabyte of SSD to play happily. Memory prices have been increasing dramatically due to the recent AI boom. Our pain, their gain. There is no such thing as a win-win between memory makers and consumers. The memory chip boom and bust cycle is a very famous business study case of supply and demand, dating back to the 1970s. Another aspect is memory speed. Kudos to SSD makers. Most SSDs advertise the best achievable sequential read speed on the package. However, do note, first, read operations are always faster than writes on the same memory. Second, memory access speeds are self-reported and may not reflect your particular build. So, use the provided value with a grain of salt. I have a 2 terabyte WD Black SN850X, an NVMe Gen 4 SSD with a form factor of M.2 2280. NVMe stands for Non-Volatile Memory Express, a protocol based on PCI Express, or PCIe. it advertises a maximum read speed of 7,300 megabytes per second. In most cases, NVMe is faster than SATA-based SSD because SATA was originally developed for magnetic hard disk drives, or HDDs. The RAM makers, however, may not be so forthcoming. They often provide a maximum memory frequency and the column access strobe latency, CAS latency, or just CL. Now what, you may ask? Since most people do not enjoy waiting, either for a computer to boot up or for a program to load, the measure of this wait time is called memory latency. We need to do some math for a fair comparison, and CAS latency alone wouldn't do it. The CAS latency is the number of clock cycles required to get data out. So, a fast memory will need a smaller number of clock cycles and a faster clock. The clock period is inversely proportional to the memory frequency. Most memory is in DDR, or double data rate, where the actual clock rate is half of the advertised DDR clock frequency. I have 32 gigabytes of T-Force Delta RGB DDR5 6000 MHz. This memory has a CAS latency of 38. That is the first value of a 4-number series here. The actual memory clock frequency is half of 6,000 MHz, 3,000 MHz, or 3 GHz. They must have consulted a psychologist beforehand. Somehow, 3,000 MHz does sound bigger than 3 GHz. Anyhow, the clock period is 1 over 3 GHz, or a third of a nanosecond. So, the memory latency is 1/3 of 38 at 12.67 nanoseconds. A smaller memory latency means faster memory and hopefully a better user experience. When selecting external memories, it's important to check your CPU and motherboard selections. They may place certain restrictions on memory speed. DDR5, in particular, is dual channel and should be purchased in matching pairs and placed on non-adjacent slots in the motherboard. For an extra bit of pizzazz, you can add some RGB to spice up your build. Woohoo! I hope you find this video useful in your endeavor into custom PC building. In the next video, I will discuss the Graphics Processing Unit, or GPU. So, until next time, I wish you a happy and joyful life ahead.